to Byte-Sized Tech, where we like to blend casual conversations with some, insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets. Today, we're diving into something pretty interesting.
Okay.
How much we kind of let algorithms run our lives online.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of like choosing between using a radio dial to find a station or just hitting play on a curated playlist on Spotify or something.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
One requires you to actively seek out what you want.
Yeah.
The other is more about passive consumption.
Right.
We've all been there, endlessly scrolling P recommendations.
Exactly. And our source material even mentions this really cool example.
Okay.
Imagine trying to identify a vintage Silvertone radio based on its unique details. Like you'd be researching, comparing models, really digging deep.
Right.
But with Spotify, you might just hit shuffle and let the algorithm decide your mood.
That's a great analogy. It highlights this idea of algorithmic complacency.
Okay.
Essentially becoming so reliant on algorithms that we stop actively exploring and seeking out new things.
Okay, so let's unpack this algorithmic complacency thing.
Sure.
You're saying that by letting algorithms curate our online experiences, we might be missing out.
Yeah.
But isn't that the point?
Right.
Convenience is king, right?
Convenience is definitely a factor.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Think about your own YouTube habits.
Okay.
Do you mostly stick to your subscriptions, or do you find yourself clicking on whatever the algorithm throws your way?
Honestly, I'm probably guilty of letting that up next feature take me down some pretty random rabbit holes.
And you're not alone. Studies show that only about 3% of YouTube views come from subscriptions.
Wow.
That means a whopping 97% of views are driven by the algorithm.
3%, that's a tiny slice of the pie.
It is.
So what's the big deal? If we're enjoying the content, the algorithm feeds us.
Yeah.
Is there really an onside?
Well, think of it this way. If you only listen to music recommended by an algorithm, you might miss out on entire genres or artists you would have loved if you'd stumbled upon them on your own.
Right.
You're essentially letting the algorithm define your taste.
So it's like we're trading the thrill of discovery for the ease of convenience.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And that can have some pretty significant consequences, especially when it comes to things like social media and news consumption.
Now that you mention it, social media is a whole other beast when it comes to algorithms, right?
Oh, yeah.
It feels like they're constantly prioritizing engagement,
right?
Those likes, shares, and comments over actual meaningful connection.
Absolutely. And this can lead to some pretty strange situations.
Okay.
Imagine you crack a sarcastic joke among close friends. They know your humor.
Right.
They get it.
Yeah.
But what if that same joke gets amplified by an algorithm and reaches a wider audience who don't know you as well?
Ooh, I can see how that could go south quickly.
Yeah.
A joke taken out of context could be a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. It's like that old saying, a joke explained is a joke ruined.
Right.
But in the age of algorithms, it's more like a joke amplified to the wrong audience is a PR nightmare.
Wow.
And this highlights a phenomenon called performative engagement.
Performative engagement? That sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
Essentially, it means we're often more concerned with how we appear online, getting those likes and fitting in, than actually having genuine interactions. We end up performing for the algorithm instead of connecting with real people.
So it's like we're stuck in this loop.
Yeah.
We crave connection, but the algorithms push us towards performing for likes and shares.
Right.
Which ultimately leaves us feeling even more disconnected.
It is a bit of a paradox. And what's even more fascinating is that this algorithmic influence, it isn't just limited to social media.
Oh, really?
Think about your newsfeed, your shopping recommendations, even the routes your mapping app suggests.
You're right. I can't even remember the last time I chose a route that wasn't recommended by my mapping app. To blindly trust it to get me where I need to go.
And that's the crux of it.
Yeah.
We're outsourcing so much decision-making to algorithms without even realizing it.
Yeah.
We're letting them shape our worldviews, our purchasing habits, even our physical journeys.
Wow.
The question is, are their choices always aligned with our own values and desires?
Whoa, that's a pretty big question.
It is.
It makes you wonder, are we becoming so complacent that we're essentially handing over control of our lives to these invisible algorithms?
Well, handing over control might be a bit strong.
Okay.
But it's certainly something to be mindful of.
Okay.
The key is awareness. Once you recognize that algorithms have their own agendas, often driven by profit or engagement metrics, you can start to take back control of your online experience.
Okay, so awareness is the first step, but what are some practical things we can do?
Right.
To break free from this algorithmic grip?
Sure.
I mean, I appreciate the convenience they offer,
Of course.
but I also want to make sure I'm still the one calling the shots.
Absolutely. It's not about abandoning technology altogether.
Okay.
It's about using it in a way that empowers you, not limits you.
Right.
One practical tip is to actively curate your online experience.
Okay.
On YouTube, for example.
Yeah.
Make a conscious effort to watch videos from your subscriptions feed
Uh-huh.
instead of always relying on the recommended videos.
Good point. I'm definitely guilty of letting that up next autoplay feature suck me in for hours.
Right.
Maybe it's time to start hitting that pause button more often.
Exactly. And it's not just about YouTube.
Okay.
You can apply this to other platforms as well.
Right.
Think about who you follow on social media.
Okay.
Are you exposed to a diversity of viewpoints?
Uh-huh.
Or are you stuck in an echo chamber of like-minded opinions?
I've never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall into the trap of following people.
Right.
Who just reinforce my existing beliefs.
Yeah.
But exposing yourself to different perspectives is how you grow, right?
Precisely. And speaking of exploring different perspectives.
Yes.
Have you ever considered trying out some alternative platforms?
Like what?
Mastodon, for instance,
Oh, yeah.
is a decentralized social network that prioritizes user control and privacy.
Okay.
It's a bit different from the mainstream platforms,
Uh-huh.
but that's part of what makes it interesting.
I've heard of Mastodon, but I admit I haven't really explored it.
Yeah.
What makes it so different?
Well, for starters, it's not controlled by a single company.
Oh.
It's a network of interconnected servers,
Huh.
each with its own rules and community.
Okay.
This gives users more autonomy and control over their data.
Interesting. So it's like choosing your own adventure, but for social media.
That's a great way to put it.
Cool.
And then there's Bluesky, another up-and-coming platform
Oh, okay.
that's focused on giving users more control over their online experience.
Right.
It's still in its early stages, but it has a lot of potential.
So many options.
Yeah.
We have this whole buffet of platform to choose from.
Right.
But we often just stick to the same old dishes out of habit.
It's the comfort zone effect.
Yeah.
But remember, stepping outside your comfort zone is where the real growth happens.
Right.
And perhaps the most important tip of all,
Okay.
cultivate your curiosity.
Ooh, I like that. Cultivate your curiosity. That sounds almost like a life motto.
It could be. It's about actively seeking out new knowledge, challenging your assumptions, and embracing the joy of discovery.
Yeah.
Don't let the algorithm be your only guide.
Okay.
You have the power to choose what you learn, what you see,
Right.
and how you connect with the world online.
It's like we've been handed this incredible toolbox of digital resources, but we've been letting the algorithm tell us which tools to use.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that we need to reclaim that toolbox
Right.
and start experimenting, trying things out for ourselves.
Exactly. Remember that sense of wonder you had as a kid,
Yeah.
Discovering something new for the first time.
Yeah.
You can recapture that same feeling in the digital world.
Right.
It's out there waiting to be discovered.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into algorithmic complacency,
Yes.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Don't let the algorithm be your only guide.
Okay.
You have the power to choose what you consume, what you believe, and how you interact with the world online.
Right.
Be curious, be skeptical, and most importantly, be intentional.
That's some fantastic advice. And on that note, we want to thank you for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into algorithmic complacency.
Yeah.
And how we can all be a little more mindful of its influence. And as always, we want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
What resonated with you most in today's conversation?
Yeah. What stood out to you?
Did any of the examples spark an idea for how you might change your own online habits?
Yeah, let us know.
Share your thoughts in the comments.
Definitely. We love hearing your perspectives.
Yeah.
And learning from each other.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
Yes.
And keep that digital curiosity alive.
And remember, you're in control.
Yes.
Don't let the algorithms run your life.
That's it for this episode of Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions. We'll see you next time.